Okay, I thought that I would give a informational video about something that I see a lot of confusion about, and I'm going to do this with about a medium level of explanation and depth, because if I really went into this, it'd be a multi-part set of videos. But that's what am I going to talk about here? I'm going to talk about the Kabar knife and also how it connects with Commando knives, because they were pretty much synonymous. So let's get something clear. Kabar knives really start, the name is really a synecdoche, which means that it stands for something else. It's like Xerox, for example. Xerox stands for copy machine, but it really is just a type of copy machine. So same thing with the K-bar. K-bar, during World War II, there were shortage of metals. Things were rationed. Only certain companies were allowed to use metal because it was needed for many things. So there were some different designs that were proposed to the military, mainly the Army, because the Army, this is before the Air Force. So you have the Army and the Navy and the Marines inside the Navy. During World War II, the Marines were all volunteer force. So got to keep that in mind. And the other Army was drafted, Navy was drafted. Okay. So the factor is that there were different contracts being awarded for the Army and then also for the Marines, basically, or the Navy, I should say, to the Navy, because the Navy is the parent company of the Marines. Anyway, so the Army went with the knife because World War I knives were horrible. No matter what anybody thinks or wants to say, they were horrible. It was also when bayonets were being changed because they were too long for modern. They were too long for trench warfare. But that's a whole nother story. But anyway, so about the Army decided on what was called the M3, and some people call it the M3 trench knife. And now the M3, I have a World War II M3 here, and this is the M3. This is the World War II M3 right here. It fulfilled its function, the ability to eliminate people. That's what it was designed for. This is a leather stacked or leather, later on lathe leather, which works better actually, and I'll talk about that too. Handle. The handles, and I'll say this now, have a huge aspect that plays with Commando knife method of fighting. And now I will not explain that here because so many people don't know what it is, and I'm not putting it out here so other people can say, yeah, we knew what it was. No, you didn't know, because I don't see any of the knife experts talking about it because they're caught up in Oriental knife methods. And the Commando method is wholly Occidental method with some input, and it's evolved too. Okay, so this is the M3. This is the real M3 from World War II. Here is a modern copy of the M3. It's not exactly the same, which is what I'll explain with what happened with K-bars and going on. The guards are not the same. The handle is not the same. Okay, you'll see that the reproduction is more of an oval, and it's also completely different. It doesn't get as, this is more of an oval. This is an oval, but this is more circular, and this is a little bit thicker, but it tapers. The blade, the metal is actually better on this original. This is Ontario. Ontario has been a contractor for the military for quite a while, and I'll get to that here when I move into the K-bars. So this is what the Army selected in World War II. They made millions of these, though. They made millions of these, but they were only used for 1 year because troops were using them for utility knives. These were not utility knives. These were a fighting knife. And that's where we have a lot of problem, especially with the guys on the YouTube now, that they think that everything is a bushcraft knife. It is not. And they keep trying to do tasks because they don't know about knife fighting. They're not experts in knife fighting. And neither are the Filipino guys, because they don't understand how Commando knives were used. It's not the same as the Filipino method. So anyway, this is not a bushcraft knife. These would break if you tried to pry things all the time and stick it into things and use it as a utility knife. This is a combat knife. There's a huge difference. It's not a bushcraft knife. It's not a camping knife. It's none of that. So that got replaced. That was what the Army chose, and troops didn't like it much. I mean, it worked for killing people, which is what it was designed for. So what happened then? Well, a design called the Mark II. The Mark II was accepted by the Navy, and this became. And let me show you. I have a Mark II right here. This is a Mark II. This is an actual World War II Mark II. It's in pretty good condition. There are differences from different manufacturers. This is a Kabar, actually. This is the Kabar company. There was a union culture that you can look this up. There are a lot of people who produce the Mark II. The Mark II Camulus was a huge producer. Camulus existed until recently, and they were bought out, and they quit making that model. So, but this is the original Mark II. The Mark II came in a leather sheath and also a fiberglass sheath, which I have somewhere around here. I got so many knives, I don't know what I'm doing. But this leather on this one was lathed. It's not stacked, it's lathed, which is better. But this in the Pacific Theater still rotted. So they had to replace these quite a bit because the salt water and the sun just destroy leather. And these were not treated originally with anything special. So, but this is the Mark II. And now you can see there were, over time, the changes in the Mark II on exact blade length. These are under 7 inches. Okay. But the sweep on the clip point, or some people, you want to say the Bowie style, is not similar across all through the years. This is World War II. That's a Mark II. And here is the Camulus, as I'm saying, which is in pretty good condition, I got to say. And it is different. You see the blade? Now, what they did, and this is one of the things where you can tell the ones used for actual military, is that the back, some people call this the swedge here, is sharpened. It's not as sharp as the primary edge, but it's still sharp, and there's more of a clip on this, more of a Bowie style, and that's because that will use on what was called a back cut. And in the Commando system, it's also very important. Bowie knife fighting, which is also but different than the Commando system and different than the Filipino stuff, relied heavily on the clip point, but this is not a hugely pronounced clip point. But you can see the difference is, you see the differences in the blade structure dimensions there. So these change over time, and the guards will also change too. Now, this one in the bottom is bent because of use, from World War II. This one is a little bit but deformed, but not much. Now, okay, let's move forward. Now, a lot of people think that Kabar, the company, this is Kabar, the company now that exists. This is a reproduction, okay, a reproduction of the Mark II, but it's changed. Now, this is extremely sharp. I got to say that. This is extremely sharp. Now, this is Kabar started making, or the Mark II started being used in the Navy, for the Marines at USMC. Of course, it's famous for that, and you can see the sheath on this one. But they also made them for the Army. This one is stamped. This one is stamped for the Army. This is also something you'll find over time. They put the markings in different places, and this is how you can tell the year and the maker. They put them on the blade here on this side, and then on this side, or on the guard. And sometimes it was on this part of the guard, this part of the guard, or this part of the guard, this part of the guard. The reason why they did that is because putting it on the guard keeps the integrity of the knife, because if you stamp it on the actual blade, it can change the tempering and weaken the blade. Now, these things, a lot of people, these are called fullers, and they're there to reduce weight, and they change on different blades. If you look at it's trying to keep it more or less the same on the fuller, but you can see the blade difference now, and the guard difference, and the handle differences. The modern one is not as thick. It's more oval, and it tapers more. This is, than the original. Okay, talking about that now, Kabar also makes one with this Kydex or thermoplastic sheath scabbard, which is better in the long run, but I don't like it. And a lot of guys operationally don't like these because they're just bigger. So then the leather, just replace the leather, it gets ruined. But so this is the blade with a better grip. This is not leather. This is a type of rubber grip. I don't like the serrations. They put that on there to cut rope or whatever. Yeah, that works, but I just don't like it myself. Now the back swedge on the K-bars are not sharpened. This one has been sharpened a bit, but it's not the same. But you can see that the reproduction model is different than their fighting model. This is called the fighting model, is reproduction model. The handles width is not the same. This one is got more of an oval and slightly thicker than this. However, Kabar is just a name, as I'm saying. Kabar is also a company now, but everyone started using Kabar. Kill a bear. Someone wrote into the company, I killed a bear with this knife. And these have held up. These are been issued for a very long time, and many militaries use this knife from one of the different manufacturers. Now, the Kabar, as I'm saying, is not the official supplier to the Marines anymore. Army uses whatever. Now, if you're in certain units, you can use whatever knife you want to, buy it yourself and use it. But the official supplier for the Marine Corps is Ontario, and the actual knife is this is what they can get. This is issued. This is the 498. This is called Ontario Model 498. Now, I'm going to pull out the other knives in a second again, but you'll see that the swedge is sharpened, and it's more of a pronounced clip. There's some changes in here. This handle is more of a rounded handle than the modern K-bar. The old K-bars match this quite a bit. It's more round and it's thicker in the center part, which is something that, for example, let me use the reproduction K-bar here. You can see the difference there. You can see the difference there on the handle, and that makes some difference. The blade, by the way, blade lengths varied, and you'll find that the reproduction K-bar, trying to imitate the World War II version, and the actual Ontario Marine 498 are 7-inch blades. They played with blade length quite a bit throughout the World War II. And by the way, there's a Mark I. I have a Mark I. I have a couple Mark I's around here that are World War II, but it's not right next to me, so I won't get those. But anyway, what I got to tell you about the K-bar, this is 7 inches long because they tried different lengths and found that 7 inches was good for utility, because this could take the prying and use for other things, because knife battle was not the primary thing that most people did. Now, reconnaissance guys in fighting in the Pacific, in the jungle, there was a lot of knife usage. And once again, one of the things that's different with the Marine 498 is that the grip on this is much different. The leather, this is leather, but some people think it's wood because of how it feels, because it's sealed against moisture. And this is lathed, which is a better process than stacking it, because stacking becomes loose and stuff. And also, like I said, the guard is wider and bigger than on the reproduction model, or even on the fighting model that they have, which is 12 in the 12 series, 1213 or 1212, I think. You can look that up if you want to. And these are mass produced, like I said, because this is Ontario is the supplier to the Marine Corps for this, which is the K-bar now, but it's not a K-bar, it's an Ontario 498. And they also, let me take this baby out, produce the official bayonet. bayonet combat knife for the Marines. This is the current one. It's much better than the Army M9, much better. This is the OKC3S. It's sharpened on the back swedge. This thing is designed to penetrate. Soft body armor. It goes right through it, no problem. It also has a serrated edge here to cut rope. This thing is sharp. It's a very good knife, and they came up with some proprietary substance for the handle. It's very good. It's a little heavy though, and that's one of the things that you find guys are not carrying real fighting knives anymore. They're carrying these 4-inch things just to cut down on weight. But the thing is that there is, when you want to fight, a 4-inch knife is not going to cut it. It's going to cut it in real knife fighting. Commando knife. I think I've talked about this a little bit in other places, but it's a 5 to 8-inch blade, and that is an 8-inch blade on the bayonet. That's an 8-inch blade. But like I'm saying, most of the like the 498 is a 7-inch blade. 7-inch blade. I think 12 inches overall, and the handle length is important too, because you got to be able to get it with a glove on. You got to be able to get a mitten on it if you're in the Arctic, and you got to have enough for guys with big hands. I have a big hand, and I can actually use a larger handle for this, but it feels vastly different than the handles on the other versions, because they've changed what they coat the leather with to make it last longer. This is your generic type of leather. It's still okay. It's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people don't like leather, but I like it better. It's easier to put in different places. This is the big belt loop. Of course, you can't really, you have to work at this to try to mount it. If you want to mount it on your load-bearing equipment or whatever. And also, this is not completely approved for jumping. You need another strap on here to be jump approved for airborne, but you can use other sheaths, scabbards, that will make this jump approved. Like the bayonet's scabbard is jump proof. It's got I got another knife in here, but I've got the Kisler war knife in here, but this is the Marine bayonet current issue scabbard right here. This is real. All my stuff's real too. None of it's a knockoff. None of it's whatever. None of it's civilian. It's all real stuff. But yeah, you got to have these retention. You got to have one here and one up here, so that if you have it attached like this, it won't fall out and drop on someone below you and kill them or whatever. This is a different knife. I won't cover that right now. It's an incredibly good war knife, not a utility knife. So one of the things I just want to make very clear is that a Kabar is really a Mark II. And you can look up all this history if you want to delve into it more. But a lot of people make an error. They say Kabar, it's like calling all copy machines Xerox. They're not. Not all copy machines are Xerox. Not all Mark IIs are Kabars. And the design of the blade changed, like the angle for the clip point changed, the thickness has changed over time, the width of the handle has changed, if it's more round or if it's more oval has changed. That has all changed over time. So at a distance they look the same, but if you're an expert, you know what you're looking for and you can tell. Now, what do I think as far as being a knife expert? And I'm talking combat, not bushcraft, not utility. Yeah, you can. The Mark II will work and has worked. It's proven itself in many places. And the modern version, the 498, will work and is still good. There's nothing wrong with it. And for the military, it's at such a low price that why not get it? Why not get it? I mean, it's there with the Glock. The Glock, which is a different story. But the Glock is beautiful in its own way because of the sheath that it has and its ability to attach everywhere. And it's locked in. This thing's not coming out. That's one of its problems, though, is trying to get this out fast and to deploy it quickly is difficult. You got to have some training. But this Glock and this are about the same price if you're dealing with the right people. You can get to this. So what I got to say is that Yeah, the 498 is good. Get it? I mean, knives are one of the things I'm known for, training wise, commando training, blade training. So I have to know all this stuff, and I got loads. I got stuff all over the place. And is it the best war knife? No. It's not. Is it the best utility knife? No. But that's the thing. It's fulfilling a function. It's sort of like a decathlete, a decathlon. It can do 10 events, all of them well. It's not the best in any one of them, but it's good. It's good, and I would say get one. You need it for historical purposes at the least. Okay. Now, in another video at some point, I'll talk about better war knives, because that's what I deal with, and especially for the commando knife style fighting, which is superior to other forms because it's designed for that. Anyway, so I just want to let you know that. So this is Christophe CLugston letting you know a little bit of history about the Mark II, clearing up some of the problems that people have about the Kabar confusion. Once again, Kabar is just a type of Mark II, just like Xerox is a type of copy machine, okay? And you've seen some of the different versions that are out. Don't mess with those Chinese and knockoff cheap versions. The metal is crap. The Rockwell is bad. It's going to break. The handle, nothing. It's just crap. If you're going to deal with some knives, go quality, okay? And that doesn't mean get a handmade thing that costs $300 or $400. You don't need that. You don't need that. There are other knives that are comparable that cost much less. So anyway, I want to let you know that, and I'm going to sign off here and let you guys share, like this, talk about it, tell me which knife that you have, okay? And please don't comment about bushcrafting. These are not bushcrafting knives. And it doesn't matter about batoning. It's crap. It's not a knife. Was never designed for batoning. Oh, you can use it. Yeah, and you can use a spoon as a screwdriver to take your TV apart, but it's going to wreck the spoon. It's going to wreck the TV too. So I don't know what that's about. Anyway, all right, enough of that. So I'll see you in another video talking about something important. Okay. All right. So like, subscribe, go to my websites, fluentfighting.com and also combat-judo.com. And coming soon, I'm merging with some other guys to become more tactical. We'll have some incredible news for you. So get on the mailing list, email list, and you'll find out about that. Oh, and join my Facebook groups. Combat Judo group. You can look at my page, my CLugston Combat Systems page. You can also subscribe to get into or ask to get into our Legion Tactics Facebook group. Okay. All right. Talk to you guys later.